What's up, OU and Eric's Experiencing Music class? It's Mark Lettieri here. I am a guitar player, composer, instructor, session musician, band leader, band member, career guitar player. I play in bands like Snarky Puppy and the Fearless Flyers. I also release music under my own name. I've had a little bit of success. Snarky Puppy's won a couple Grammys. That's pretty cool. I've been nominated for one myself as a solo artist. So that's real cool. Played all over the world. Just, I think, every continent except Antarctica, so that's been really exciting. A lot of planes, a lot of airports, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Worked with a lot of cool artists you might have heard of: David Crosby, Erykah Badu, Kirk Franklin. I did a thing with Dave Chappelle last night. That was exciting. He's pretty funny. So let's talk about the electric guitar. What is this thing? This is called a solid body electric guitar. Here are the parts. This is the body. It's made of swamp ash wood. They come in all different kinds of woods, and actually the wood is what helps give the guitar its particular sound. So swamp ash body, and then this is called the neck here. It's made of maple wood. So together these two pieces form the core of what's gonna resonate, right, to get the sound that we want out of this thing. These are the tuning pegs. They keep you in tune or out of tune depending on where you set them. But if you move them around, it sounds like that. What do we got? These are the machine heads, is what they call them. This is where the string goes through and you tighten them down. This is the nut, which is kind of the last point of contact before the strings get to what is called the headstock here. So these are the strings. There's 6 of them, and they're tuned E, A, D, G, B, and E. And I think I put my G string out of tune there when I was giving that little demonstration. These silver bars here across what's called the fretboard are the frets, and the frets are used to actually control the pitch of the note. So for example, that G string here is a G note if I play it without fretting the notes, but if I start fretting the notes, it changes pitch. And this guitar has 22 of these frets. So I can play notes all the way from here, all the way up to here. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this thing? Let's see, though this is cool, this is called the bridge. And this is where the strings go into the body of the guitar. Inside here, in the guitar itself, actually, underneath this plastic plate, is an open space with some springs in it. And what the springs do is allow you to move this thing, which is called the tremolo bar, or the whammy bar, or the twang bar, or the vibrato bar, up and down to change the pitch of the note. So check this out, I can play a chord, or I can play a chord and use the whammy bar, and it goes like this. So it adds vibrato to the note. These notes are being picked up by the, you guessed it, the pickups. And these are magnets, essentially, and what they do is they capture the vibrations of these metal strings. These are made of nickel. And so the nickel strings vibrate into the magnets, creates a signal, which goes out of, well, it goes through these controls, which I'll explain in a second, into my cable. The cable goes into the amp, and the amplifier takes that signal, turns it into the sound that you're hopefully hearing right now. These knobs over here, we have a volume knob, which just controls the volume of the guitar. Mine has a little bit of dirt in it, which is kind of scratchy. So we have a volume knob, and then we have these 2 knobs here, which are tone knobs, and they basically control the overall brightness or darkness of the guitar. So for example, if I turn the tone knob all the way off, versus all the way on, you can see how it kind of gets really warm and kind of thick and round like that, right? So we have all kinds of different ways to get sounds out of just the guitar. We have this little switch here is a pickup selector switch. And what that does is selects the pickups that you want to use. So you'll hear, they're pretty different. With the switch up like this, I'm using the neck pickup. It's called the neck pickup because it's closest to the neck. And it sounds like this. But then as I move towards the bridge here, I can start combining pickups. Now I'm going to use the neck pickup and the middle pickup. It sounds like this. Alright, the middle pickup by itself. Nice twang. Now we've got the middle pickup and the bridge pickup. And now now we have the bridge pickup itself. Now you notice, well, why is this one's a little bit larger? Well, it's actually two of these single coil pickups, what they call them, smashed together to make what's called a humbucker. And that's a particular sound. You've probably heard it more in rock and roll, like maybe think AC/DC or Metallica would be a humbucker guitar sound, versus the neck pickup sound would be like John Mayer or Jimi Hendrix or somebody like that. So you can use all these combined or by themselves to make all different kinds of sounds. Let's see. I'll play a little bit for you so I can kind of show you some of the cool things you can do on a guitar. You can play a scale. That's a C scale. Or you can play a chord. That's a C chord. And as you notice, I'm fretting these notes, which is changing the pitch. You fret them all together, it gets a chord. Fret them one at a time. You can play single note lines or phrases or riffs, as they call it. So I could just strum a groove like this, like a funk groove. Or I could play like a rock and roll rhythm. Sounds very 80s hair metal. I'm growing my hair out. Maybe that's what the deal is here. What else can you do? You can take one single note and do lots of cool things with it. You could do what's called a vibrato, which is where you just kind of shake your finger around. And it sort of simulates what you're doing with the tremolo bar. Remember what we did before, but it's a little different. So there's vibrato with the vibrato bar, but then there's vibrato, just finger vibrato. You can bend a note, right? So if I want to play a C, but I want to play a D also, I could go and play both, or I can go and bend up to that D note. That's an exciting thing. What else can you do? This is called a slide, where I slide up into the note, or I can slide down. Right, that's cool. I could, what else can I do? I can tap the note. You've probably seen maybe Eddie Van Halen do that sort of stuff. What else can you do with a guitar? You can just play scratch notes. You can palm mute, which is what happens when you take the palm of your hand here, rest it against the bridge, and it just mutes the strings. Probably heard that a lot in like rock and roll stuff. Well, there's loads of things you can do. This is called a double stop. Actually, that might have been a triple stop. This is double stop. And that's two notes at the same time where you're bending one. You can play all sorts of nice sounds. I love the electric guitar. It's my favorite instrument. Well, it's the only one that I'm actually any good at. So that's probably why I like it. But what else can you do? Well, you can take your guitar and you can run it through all these cool sounds. What's neat about the electric guitar is you can manipulate the signal, which a lot of guitar players will use what's called pedals, which are literally these little boxes with knobs on them, and they will change the signal of the guitar. And I have a whole rack of them down here at my feet, which I'll show you on the screen right now. And that's what actually this guitar is running through. Right now you're not hearing any of these pedals. You're only hearing a little bit of reverb from the amp, which is that kind of echo. It's not really an echo, it's just sort of an ambient, excuse me, an ambient sound that adds a little bit of dimension to the note. But you can do all sorts of cool things with pedals, like a phase shifter, which is great for kind of, well, anything, but I like it for funk. Great pedal for that. What else can you do? You can add what's called overdrive or distortion or fuzz, which is a couple different ways of taking the clean guitar signal and breaking it up. You're distorting it, you're clipping it, it's run. What happened, the science behind it, you probably want to ask your physics teacher, but there are these little diodes that manipulate the sound, and it makes it kind of crunch. So instead of this, we have this. Distortion overdrive is sort of the sound of rock and roll guitar. You can add a whole bunch of it. Right? What else is cool? There's a sound called chorus, which is really fun. Kind of adds this sort of spacey, dreamy sound. Cyndi Lauper fans out there. Another great sound you could do is like an echo sound, and what that's going to do is going to take the signal and just repeat it, which is pretty neat. So you use it to create a lot of soundscapes. You can do cool stuff like this. A little bit of U2. And then what's neat is you can actually combine all these sounds, right? Because the signal's running through all of these, and you can play all the techniques you like. I like to incorporate a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, and maybe some overdrive. That nice big lead guitar sound, right? Another sound I like to use, I love using this phase shifter. That's a fun sound. For that last demo, I was using the bridge pickup. You heard it kind of had that thick, throaty rock and roll sound. I'm going to move to these two pickups and kind of thin the sound out a little bit and add what's called an octave pedal. And all that does is just drop the guitar down an octave. So you hear a little bit of that low note. It's one octave below C. I'm going to add the phaser, and I'm going to play funk. The technique I'm using now is like a staccato sound. The notes are short. Versus a legato sound, where the notes would be long. You can use those two techniques to play scales too. Legato. Or staccato, or alternate picking, where you're just picking up and down like this. There's all sorts of great ways to get sounds out of these things. To me, it's one of the most manipulative instruments. It's one of the most expressive instruments. Is the electric guitar. If you don't play, maybe it's time to learn. You know, there's plenty of resources out there to start learning. Maybe you already do play and you're watching this and you're going like, I already know that, and that's totally fine. But if you don't, yeah, go to a guitar store, get yourself an electric guitar, plug it into an amp, turn it up real loud, and even if you don't know how to play, just make some sounds. That's how I got started. Anyway, Mark Lettieri here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Glad you could tune in. Peace.